So I'm pleased to be joined with Pastor Roberta Roslund from Rose Church. And Roberta, we've heard stories of how people getting into ministry. Sometimes it looks very different, whether they grew up in the church and then they're just like, I want to continue this and I want to move on. Or sometimes it's a little bit of a bumpy ride. But for you,
hmm
how did you get started in ministry? Where's your heart in that?
Yeah. I became a Christian at 14. So I did not grow up like going to Sunday school or church like that. Got invited to a youth group and then just went to a youth conference, gave my life to Jesus. And my journey to ministry was pretty bumpy. I knew right away after becoming a Christian that I wanted to go into ministry because I just felt personally I had had so much impact on me, my youth pastor. But I really struggled getting to Bible college and kind of feeling like, what does it look like for a woman to lead? What does that even mean? How does that? I hadn't seen any women, preaching on a Sunday. So I just hadn't seen it. And so I was like, I think it's possible, but I just had kind of a huge disconnect. So after Mark and I, we met in Bible college, my husband, and then we graduated. He got a job in ministry. And I was kind of like, I don't want to be in ministry. This is really tough. And so I actually got a degree in social work, did that for a while. And then I ended up, as we were praying about planting Rose Church, it was always going to be kind of like Mark was going to do it, obviously, and I would support. But I just felt God being like, no, like I'm calling you into ministry as well and to lead. So a little bit bumpy, but came back around into it. And yeah.
And so you were mentioning just a minute ago being like a woman in ministry, which I know for myself, like I grew up, I didn't see women pastors either. So how
Yeah.
did you break down that barrier just for yourself? Was it just like, I'm supporting Mark as he's doing this and we're doing
Mhm.
it together? Or was there like a specific moment for you?
Yeah, there was just a moment when we used to run a youth conference called 204 conference, and during that there was actually it was for youth and all of that, and there was a worship time, and I was in worship, and I just felt God was like, you gotta do this with him, like side by side, not behind the scenes. And so I then it started reaching out, trying to find like women pastors and really taught like lead women pastors who are leading churches as well. So yeah, it was hard, but now we're here and it's great. But it was a moment where it was felt hard to be a woman in ministry. But now I just, I feel so supported and loved in our community. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And now kind of transitioning to where you are now, you guys are at
Mhm.
Rose Church, which is a pretty new church. You guys started
Mhm.
during COVID, so that I'm sure presented its own difficulties, probably to say the least, that you could probably speak on.
Yeah. I mean, it was an insane time for everyone, right? For every church. We were going to go plant and then obviously January 2020 hits and things kind of start to shut down and then fully by March, I think it was. And we just felt like, do we wait, until things open up more or whatever? But we just kind of felt like even if our launch is online, which is how we did launch, we still just need to bring hope to people. And we just felt like God was speaking out, like still bring hope, still keep going. And so we saw people give their lives to Jesus via online church and all of that stuff. So I'm glad we moved forward. It was really hard. But we don't really deal with like what was our church pre-COVID. We're kind of just like, this is what it's been. And our church is really good at navigating a lot of change because we started in change. So yeah.
You really all had to grow together, right?
Yeah, for sure. It was a time.
And then you guys recently just moved into your first building where it's like
Yes.
that's your space. But
Yeah.
that also presented a few little hurdles too,
Of
didn't it?
course. Yeah. With just buildings, right? There's going to be things that come up and last minute it's like, oh no, we can't, go in the weekend we wanted to. But we finally we got in early December and it's just been amazing to just finally have a space where it's ours and people can come. And even just being in Transcona, we feel like we get to just love this neighborhood and just get to kind of have a stake in the ground and just be like, we're here and we love it. So yeah, it was a journey, but we're here now. So it feels good.
Absolutely. And going forward, as you guys are really growing together, your congregation is all in this together.
Mhm.
Where else have you seen the Lord move? Because I mean, just talking, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, like getting a building in the first place, being able to move
Yeah.
in, but now as you're in your space, where
Yeah.
do you see God working?
Yeah, I know Mark and I were saying it's not normal for a 3-year-old church to have a building. Like it doesn't just happen like that. So obviously God has just blessed us and just been directing this whole thing. We've just seen, even since moving to the building, we've had 48 decisions for Jesus. For people, we had last weekend, I baptized a whole family of 5 that the mom, dad, 3 kids were like, yeah, we just want to get baptized. So it just feels like there's an excitement in the room for Jesus and like what he's doing. So we just are like, I feel like if you come to our church, you just get excited for God. Like there's just like this, people who have maybe grew up in church, walked away for a while, are coming back and finally serving for the first time, giving for the first time. So it's just been a really cool thing to see, how God is just like sparking, like the Holy Spirit just sparking that in people. So yeah, we've seen some incredible things happening.
And that's amazing. And is that just kind of what you're looking forward to, just seeing that continuing to grow and continuing to flourish?
Yeah, yeah, we are just excited about people discovering his presence and flourishing in that. So I'm just excited to see where it keeps going. I love being in Transcona, and I think there's just a lot ahead of us. And we're only 3.5 years in, so we kind of, our daughter was born 2 weeks before the church started, and so I kind of always look at our church as the age of a toddler, right? So it's like, man, we're just in the toddler years, so we're figuring a lot out. We're awkward, we run a bit too fast sometimes maybe, but we're just having a lot of fun too.
Oh, that's awesome. And so if somebody wants to just be a part of your church, find out more, where can they do that?
Come to, I mean, Sunday service, 10 a.m. We're at 630 Kernahan in Transcona. Go to rosechurch.ca and you'll get all the info there. But yeah, just come on a Sunday and experience it. And I just think God is doing something, and it's been amazing to be a part of.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Pastor Roberta, for joining us. And
Oh, thanks for having me.